Well, let's know more on all the market actions. We are now joined by market analyst and tax consultant Zakirhusen Kapasi in our studio. Zakir, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is said that the presenting a budget is managing the multiple objectives, managing the balance, maybe it's a macro or micro, politics and economics. Finance Minister has presented the budget yesterday. What is the first reaction, where the budget is heading to, where it is taking to the markets as well as the economy?
As you can see that the first initial reaction on the budget, people had a negative feeling about the budget, and lot of things were expected out of this budget which were not touched. But if you decipher the codes and understand exactly what the finance minister wanted to do, now that people have started realizing that there was a lot of foresightedness in the budget which has getting unveiled, and if you see lot many things, the first and foremost thing, deficit has been curtailed, which is one of the most
major
important
challenge.
Yes, that was a major challenge for FM, and finance minister has done that very efficiently. Now current account deficit is another task which he would definitely address, and he has already done the needful addressing by way of bringing more capital into the country and creating more business probabilities. So overall, if you see, the initial impact was negative, but going into the detail of the things and the foresightedness, it looks that it's a moderate budget. You can call it a mediocre or a moderate budget, where a lot of things untouched, a lot of things touched beyond expectation also. So it has given a good
Of course, it will take some time also to understand whatever he has said, what his vision is. But one thing is clear, that FM is market savvy and will calm all the participants, because we have seen from the markets up down also. Yesterday it was, the Sensex was down by 270 points. Today also it's picked up. So it was higher side at 76 points in the morning trade. Zakir, which are the sectors which are positively impacted by this budget, and which are the sectors which may be negatively impacted? You don't know, because it's just a second day after the budget has been announced. But which is the primary focus you are saying?
Reading on the overall summary of the budget, not going in the deep analysis of the thing, I'm of the opinion that automobile sector would benefit out of this budget, for the simple reason there is a negative and positive to this sector. The SUVs excise duties have been increased, but again customs duty on imported vehicle has been doubled, which will deter people from going abroad and buying things, buying their vehicles. But our local domestic vehicle manufacturing companies like Mahindra and Mahindra and others would benefit out of this kind of.
Of course, Mahindra and Mahindra, I think, have benefited also. Today the stock
was
the
stock has already shown its reaction positively, and many more companies like Ashok Leyland and others, because even lot many trucks and buses orders are expected out of this new budget. JNURM policy is encouraging more buses to be provided for the urbans. And second sector which I like the most is banking sector, where a lot of good things are expected. Additional deductions are allowed on housing property, which will result into lot many NBFCs benefiting out of it. Housing finance companies will benefit out of more take on the housing loans, resulting into infrastructure companies benefiting.
Because that is more important.
If a person buys a house, it's the infrastructure sector which will be providing that house. So I feel that infrastructure tax-free bonds have been introduced, which will again enhance more investment which is required in tax in infrastructure sector. And I see that infrastructure sector is one of the most important sector for the growth of the economy. If infrastructure and banking put together move in a tandem, there would be a big growth expected out of it, which one can decipher out of finance minister's attempt in giving these two sectors a very big boost. And a very, very nice thing about banking for ladies, a ladies branch.
It's a big announcement.
It's a great announcement. And as I'm attached with a social organization, Giants International, and our main motto is girl child, and everywhere we listening about girl child, and your finance minister is so very much about it. It was a really very encouraging announcement made by finance minister, which has helped, which will definitely result into a greater business for women entrepreneurs, and better credit offtake by them, and better saving by them again, resulting into liquidity in the economy.
Also, I think they introduced the social security scheme also in the budget. That's more important.
Very, very important that inflation adjusted bonds have been introduced, where today people were not having much of option fighting the inflation. If they tried to fight inflation by going in equity, there was a fear of loss. And if they kept it with the bank accounts and the FDs, it was it was not able to beat the inflation. But this inflation adjusted bonds would definitely help investors and small time savers to put their money there and not run for gold. There was a big rush for gold investment, which was encouraging unorganized purchasing, purchasing in cash and keeping the gold in the house, which was a security problem.
And more importantly, that gold was competing with the banking deposits, not with equity as an asset class, because the more and more you buy gold, it may affect the bank deposits, which the families will keep with banks, and in turn, if the deposits are less, it can't come into the economy, which is the main activity we are focusing also.
Absolutely, because gold was till some time back, it was just a asset class for consumption. Now it has become an investment asset class.
It's still called a midnight currency.
Yes, it's a midnight currency, and people have started investing in gold. Earlier there was no investment intention. It was only to wear and make jewelry to wear. But now people are holding gold as an investment. So I'm sure even that gold prices have reacted negatively. So it is showing that gold prices will go down slowly and significantly. So it is going to help. Another sector which is going to get positively impacted is the textile industry, where excise has been reduced on ready-made garments.
Which was much needed.
Yeah, which was much needed, and I'm sure textile industry, which was languishing in for quite some time today, it will show up a little positive trend, and lot many more brands will try and come to India as FDI has been open for retail, and I'm sure this kind of act, if you understand deeply. It is not going to impact in a year or two, but going ahead by 5, 10 years, 15 years, it is going to make a big impact to the economy. And as Finance Minister said that he is going to make this economy one of the top 5 economy in next 15 years, I am sure he is going to do it by putting such things in place.
He has mentioned we are much ahead than China and Indonesia.
Exactly,
also, his first budget speech he has mentioned. You mentioned about the banking stocks as well, because the banks will get additional 15,000 crore capital in future, which is needed for the power and infrastructure sector as well. Talking about the banking stock, which are the banking stock, do you think it will be a bigger appetite for the investors also? Secondly, how do you approach private sector banks in that?
First of all, your first question, that which kind of banks? I would say today the least valued banks are public sector banks, which are not very investor friendly from the point of view of their market value. They are languishing behind, and with this boost into the housing industry and the interest benefits given for housing sector, I am sure public sector bank would show up a very positive trend over here, because private sector banks are already overpriced and they are already valued at their price today. But public sector banks are quite undervalued, and I'm sure with a lot of reshuffling and reorganizing of those banks, public sector banks should see a very good trend going ahead from equity market point of view, because there will be more business for them, and that would translate into a higher bottom line.
Talking about the equity markets also, I think there is a reduction in the STT tax because it was very much needed. Secondly, about the commodity market also, there is a
CTT has been introduced. Yes,
there is a good sign, because we want more and more retail investors also should participate in the markets, like Rajiv Gandhi equity scheme also, which has been launched. What are the efforts one should take to increase the retail participation? Because we have seen for last 1.5 years there is a less retail contribution to the markets. What are the provisions made for that?
I'm sure with first step of Finance Minister to bring people into the market was introducing inflation adjusted bonds, by which they will come near to the equity market. Another thing is that the SME sector has been given a boost of listing without IPOs. So it is going to unlock a lot of hidden values in the companies, and it will attract small investors to go towards them and be part to those smaller companies. And I feel that without coming to equity, one is not going to achieve any of their future goals, because today the income what we make,
all the returns
all the returns. First of all, the income that we make, out of it the expenses itself are taking its toll, and whatever is left, inflation is eating away. So if you want to beat inflation and earn something for your future, you will have to come to the business, and one cannot do business without capital. So putting money in equity is the best option available with people with a long-term horizon of investment. And I see that such small steps of bringing people out of gold investment, bringing people out of fixed deposits and such, non-inflationary, not creating any safeguard against inflation. Such investments would be deterred, and they would be more coming closer to the equity market. And this equity market, which was having a STT, which was creating a big difference, 0.25% is a huge amount over purchase and sale. Now, it come down to 0.01%, it's going to have a big impact on the profitability.
SME also, even SIDBI got from 5,000 crores to 10,000 crores. The refinancing ability, the increase, that will cater to more and more SMEs, because we have seen the export. Lots of exports are also which we are enjoying. It's coming from the SMEs, and the true entrepreneurship is like a nursery of the entrepreneurship well. Talking about the equity markets, we have seen the Sensex movement. Of course, it's just one of the parameters one should observe, because there was a movement of 290 points yesterday. What are the other parameters a retail investor now should look? Secondly, when the budget is being presented, what a common man should look for, how should understand the budget, because we are interested in what is costly, what is not costly, what we can afford. So talking about the interest rate scenario also, for home loans, for auto loan, what is the scenario now, how it will be impacted now?
The very important thing is that understanding the budget from your perspective, how it is going to impact you personally, is very important. Today people just listen to the budget, read the newspaper, but they do not bring the points which are going to impact them directly. It's very important that a person does that and takes the maximum advantage available under the tax law. Now, if you understand, Finance Minister said that if I reduce, if I increase the exemption limit, then I am bringing out the people from the tax bracket. So they will go away from filing the returns. But he himself is a chartered accountant and a very smart finance person. That is why he is in the position. What he did is he gave a 2,000 rupees tax relief. That you file your return and claim this relief. So that if your income is more also, doesn't matter if your income is not falling in that category, then you don't get it. Otherwise, you get 2,000 rupees relief. So it will not get the taxpayer away from filing the return, but it will bring them in. That 2,000 rupees benefit I want, I will have to file the returns. So it was one of the very good move, and slowly, gradually, it shows that in forthcoming budget, I'm sure whoever is the finance minister would take a clue further from here. Of bringing more people into tax bracket.
Because we need the tax reforms also in a very phased manner, and with a time horizon of 3 to 5 years. That's also he has mentioned.
Yes, he has mentioned.
Like for the first time, actually, the entire world was very much curious about this budget because of FI's role in a growing economy like India. Because nobody wants to invest in a deficit. Everyone wants to invest in growth. Talking about the FI's participation, because we have seen for last 5 to 6 months, 20.3 billion rupees has been invested in the equity markets. What will be the role of FI now after this budget announcement? Do you think there's a very conducive investment atmosphere has been created, because the finance minister repeatedly said we want a very investment friendly environment for the global investors, because we need foreign as well as the domestic capital?
In the scenario where the current account deficit is a big concern, and that deficit is met out of the amount that we receive as FII investment. The gap is filled by the FII money only. So definitely FII was sitting on the edges waiting for the budget to happen, and as the fiscal deficit has come down, it is one of the biggest benefit that the country is going to see if it is implemented properly. And seeing this progress, I am sure FIIs are going to put their money in India, because it is one of the biggest growing economy in the world, and with the growth since last 30 years undeterred and unhampered, there is nothing to look behind. And if you see today, finance minister had a chance of bringing out a politically motivated budget, but he has not done that. That itself shows a very healthy democracy in our country.
And he said that it will be a responsible budget, not a populist one.
Exactly. So that makes a very big sense, that in a democracy, when a political party has an opportunity to bring out a populist budget, he has not done it. Means the democracy is still very strong in our country, and we should believe in it.
Zakir, coming back to the market's point of view, which are the sector you feel that they are little bit neglected, because there are some reaction what we also show from the healthcare sector or the pharmaceutical also. There are some reaction that it has not been impacted, not that mention which they deserve is not being mentioned.
I would say that hospitality industry has not been attended since quite some time. Right. India being one of the most historically famous country where we want to invite tourism, we want to invite foreigners to come in India and invest their money as well as visit India. But hospitality industry has again seen that service tax on air-conditioned restaurant. Now, air-conditioned restaurant is no longer a luxury according to me. With the climatic condition that India is going through, air-conditioned restaurant is a need. And if you are going to increase service tax or put service tax on them, which was not there earlier, it is not really a good sign of giving boost to hospitality. Pharma industry is seeing no big booster from this budget. There are a lot of burdens on them, which are regulatory burdens in India as well as across the globe. So pharma sector is going to be impacted negatively in this budget. FMCG, as I told you, that cigarettes and other things have become more costlier. Some of the things which were expected that FMCG would be given a boost, but that has gone missed in this budget. That sector will find it difficult. Oil and gas sector will find it difficult because Finance Minister is just assured that we will revisit the pricing policy, but nothing concrete has been given for them. So I feel even that sector needs a little look, and it will be negatively impacted. There is no clear roadmap on GAR also. On GST, sorry. GST, and GAR has been postponed for 2 years. It is a good sign, which will...
That is impacted also.
That is impacted. Markets, but GST has been not put into the place, and there is no clear roadmap for GST, which is a negative for our
when we are seeing the domestic consumption story, India is a domestic consumption story. Which are the sectors or the stocks which will look promising? Secondly, in terms of returns on investment also, do you think the mutual funds has performed very well in last few years or few months?
See, mutual funds performance are directly related to the equity market, and equity markets have not performed since last 5 years, and that is the result of mutual funds performance over there. But now with all these mutual funds being allowed to come out with new bonds which have been declared, I'm sure they will pick up their business, and with equity market seeing good, automatically mutual funds are going to give better returns. And one should come in the equity with a long-term horizon. So a patch of 4 year, 5 year going bad should not be taken as the judgmental thing that the mutual fund industry is not doing good. I'm sure the asset under management is gradually increasing. So it is going to increase further. People are going to put their money in mutual fund industry.
To sum up, it is the budget is touching all the socio-economic categories also. The finance minister wants everyone should feel that we are a stakeholder of the great economy like India, and he has succeeded also. You see Aadhaar card also. So he has succeeded. Thanks a lot, Zakir. Thanks a lot for joining us on Business News.